So I'm starting to notice a few similarities between new meme coin traders that I wanted to address in today's video. The first thing I want to say in this video is that if you are new to crypto, you should not only be trading meme coins. And I thought that that was, self-explanatory, but I really guess that I need to remind you guys that meme coins are not the only assets in this space, and they are by far the riskiest assets that you can buy and hold. A lot of new, inexperienced meme coin traders just think that these coins just perpetually go up in value and that, this is a super easy game and that everything will work itself out. And to be honest, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just simply not the case. I'm sure you see a ton of videos online of people telling you that it's so easy to make money in meme coin trading and that they made $100,000 in 3 days because they were, employing these two strategies. Like, there's a lot of just fluff in this space. There's a lot of people who want you to believe things that just generally are not true. And, if you really want to succeed in this space, it's really not as easy as a lot of people make it out to be, but it is definitely possible. One thing that is very different right now than when I first started this channel is that there isn't a ton of actual original narratives being launched in the meme coin space right now. People are pretty lazy with their meme coin launches, and that's not the case for every token, but right now I'm noticing it a lot more frequently that a lot of these meme coins that are doing well in this period of time are just betas of other plays, or they're trying to copy previous coins that have performed really well almost too identically, which is really, really tough for new meme coin traders to distinguish the differences between, because I've mentioned in a few of my previous videos that one of the best ways for you to actually be successful in the meme coin space is to understand what has previously worked and try to apply those principles to the newer launches that come out. But it's very difficult to do that when there's no new innovation, and these coins are basically the exact same carbon copies as what had previously launched in the past and are still around. And you could you have to make a decision on whether to buy the new one or to buy the original. So one thing I really want you newer traders to take away from this video is that right now you need to be looking for original narratives, okay? But again, you need to be applying those same principles that have made previous tokens perform well to these newer original narratives. But you really need to keep your eye out for the original tokens, because right now the meme coin space is just too saturated and people are legitimately so lazy. They have no original thoughts and they have honestly no real incentive to spend time actually building out a decent launch. But honestly, a bigger and more important takeaway that you should have after watching this video is that if you don't actually own a decent amount of crypto outside of meme coins, then I think that you're doing this entire thing completely wrong. Your goal in the crypto space should not be to hold a large meme coin portfolio, because I can tell you for a fact that in 2 years, 99.9% of these meme coins will be at zero, or they won't even exist, right? They'll be rugged completely before that time, in my opinion. But Bitcoin and Solana are going to be around, and in my opinion, they probably will be at a higher price point than they are right now. So please don't get sucked into this trap where you are constantly buying Solana and you're just wasting all of it trying to hit home runs in the trenches, because it's just generally really not a smart idea for you to be, relying on, these methods to actually try and build up your portfolio over time. So if you have, for example, 10 Solana and that's your entire crypto portfolio, in my opinion, only 10% of that should be going to meme coins ever. And that's just a general guideline that I would live by if I were a complete beginner in this space. But again, everybody's goals are different. And, if you have a bit of disposable income, obviously that number can change drastically. And, you can feel a little bit more free to take a lot more risk on. But if you're a younger person who doesn't have a ton of money to your name, you don't have a portfolio built up in other areas, meme coins aren't going to be the answer for you in most cases. And I'm really saying this just to be brutally honest with you guys, where I feel like a lot of other channels won't be. A lot of people want to portray this picture that if you want to change your life, you should, go to the meme coin space. But to be honest with you, the real money is going to be made on these major tokens like Bitcoin and Solana, in my opinion. Don't get sucked into the trap. Don't listen to everything you hear online, and, be smart about your actual personal finances. Okay, but with all of that stuff out of the way, I'm going to actually talk about some tokens right now, because I feel like there's just so much junk that for a new trader, it's kind of overwhelming to look through this list. So I'm going to try and guide you guys a little bit, help you sift through a lot of this junk. Obviously, nothing I say on my channel is financial advice. You need to assess your own financial situation and make decisions based on that. So keep that in mind, please. And also just keep in mind that I don't get paid by any tokens and I don't take any advertisements on this channel. So this is truly what I believe. Okay, so the first token we're going to talk about here is this Memecoin 2. And to be honest with you, I like this token so much because I honestly resonate with it, right? At the beginning of the video, I talked about how saturated the space is right now, how lazy the launches have been in recent months, and just generally like the PvP on these tokens is disgusting. These FNF groups are fucking laughable, and honestly, all the people in those are complete and total losers. And honestly, I'm just kind of done with, a lot of the things that are happening in this space. And I honestly feel like this token was launched by, people who have been in the meme coin space for a long period of time, not this new wave group of traders who will stay in a token for 4 minutes and then dump it and then nuke the chart. Like, it's just all junk right now in the meme coin space. And I think that this could be kind of a shining light. To be honest, this tweet kind of sums up exactly how I'm feeling about the space right now in general, but generally this is why I actually like the Memecoin 2 space, because there are a lot of OGs in this community that I can just tell right off the bat. So look, like these are the types of tokens that I like to bid on, but to each their own. Next one I'll mention here is Neat, and I personally really like this coin. I just don't know if the rest of the space is going to like this coin, because honestly, it makes fun of a lot of the people in this space, and they might not take too kindly to that. But generally, this is an original token, and it's very funny. So this is something that I personally have been holding for a little bit now. There are a few people in my community who really, really like this coin, and they have been, continuously adding on the dips. I generally think that this is directionally the right coin. I just don't know if it'll get picked up because, again, I think that it kind of makes fun of a lot of the people who would be potentially buying it. Next token I'll mention is Italian Brainrot, and personally, I'm a huge fan of this one. I'm honestly shocked that this isn't higher, to be completely honest with you guys. This is one of the biggest, national memes right now that exists and has exists basically since Chill Guy, in my opinion. One thing I like to say about good memes that could potentially turn into really big meme coins is that once you start seeing them show up on platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook, that's when you know that they've already kind of reached the point of virality needed to actually blow up to kind of the next level. And this thing hasn't fully broken out yet, so I really think that this is a decent buy. And honestly, like that Policia no sound on TikTok is fucking ridiculous. So I'm a big fan of this. Now, the one thing you need to realize about the three tokens I just mentioned is that they all have a relatively higher on average market cap. So you're not going to get in 100x with these tokens. So what you really need to do is watch them over a few day period of time and dollar cost average into them whenever they're dipping hard. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that dollar cost averaging is something that I talk about a lot, right? I basically think that you should dollar cost average into every meme coin you buy for a few reasons. First and foremost, all meme coins are extremely volatile, right? So your first buy in most cases isn't going to be the absolute pico bottom of the token, okay? So there's going to be more opportunity for you to get better prices in the future. Secondly, you're going to need to have real conviction in some of these tokens if you're really trying to hit, 5, 10, 20, 30, 100 X's. You're going to need to have a risk appetite, and you're going to need to have conviction in these tokens. And I'll just say with experience, it's a lot easier to have conviction in some of these older tokens that have stayed around for more than, 2 weeks at a minimum than it is to just, go on Axiom and look at a new launch and make that decision for yourself, okay? So really, your risk appetite needs to be extremely high if you're going to hit in 100x. That's just a fact. Okay, so if you're not comfortable with dollar cost averaging on an older token, then you're going to have a very, very hard time doing it in the new launch section. And all right, the last thing I want to say in this video is that stay away from Chicken Banana, stay away from fucking Stickman, stay away from whatever the fuck a lot of these tokens are on this page right now, because there's a lot of junk. And also, if you watched my video from a few days ago, you know that I talked about Housecoin literally at its pico top. I said, do not buy this token when it's all the way up here, at the 110 million range. This is really the time that you buy these tokens, right? Proven coin, massive dip, put two and two together here. If you're going to buy this coin, this is when to do it. But all right, family, that is going to wrap up the video for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. And guys, if you want to join a community full of people who do this on a daily basis, hop in my Discord. It's always going to be free, and it's a really good time in there. So I will see you guys in the Discord, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye.